Max Verstappen has definitely been one of the biggest talking points in the last few months, especially because he's been stuck right in the middle of all the Red Bull team fighting and drama. People have been talking about where he might go next for a really long time now, and it looks like the three-time world champion is getting closer to maybe moving to Mercedes than ever before. This is especially true if we look at how well the silver cars are doing and how much better they've gotten during the middle part of the racing season. With 12 more races left in 2024 and lots of car improvements coming to the W15 car, can Mercedes promise Verstappen they have what he needs to keep winning races from 2025 and beyond? It's pretty clear that the most wanted racing seat right now is at Mercedes. And while it didn't look like that a few months ago, when Hamilton said he was leaving the team and their car was having trouble in lots of ways, that's definitely not what's happening right now. From what everyone can see, Mercedes has gotten way better in the last few races. They've won 2 races in the last 2 races, plus they got 4 podium finishes total starting from the Montreal race. Mercedes is now trying really hard to show Verstappen that they have the fastest car if he decides to switch teams starting in 2025. One of the main reasons why Verstappen doesn't want to leave Red Bull, which Toto Wolff himself has talked about, is because of how amazingly well the team is working right now. 3 championships with probably a 4th one coming his way if he fights through this unexpected competition that suddenly showed up is definitely not something you want to walk away from by yourself. But if you look at the other stuff happening at Red Bull, like all the team fighting behind the scenes and Max's feelings about Horner, you'd understand there's a lot more complicated stuff going on here. This is what Wolff is hoping to use too. His advantage, as he said before that, a driver like Max doesn't just care about the car when he thinks about joining a team. He looks at other things too. That's why the Austrian team boss wants to make things a bit more messy at Red Bull through the things he says. All of this shows that there's a lot of work that needs to be done at the Mercedes factory in the next few races. And with Red Bull being pretty much a one-person show in both championships, it's bound to happen that they'll get lots of challenges by the end of the year. Mercedes has finally found what they've been missing for such a long time. And when James Allison said that the team he leads was kind of dumb for missing what was right in front of them the whole time, you could understand what kind of amazing performance is going to come next for the W15 car. This is especially true if you think about the fact that they got both front row spots at Silverstone and won the race fair and square. Sure, Verstappen did have a broken floor that made him about 1/10 of a second slower in qualifying, but even with a perfect floor in the race, he was no match for the Mercedes cars in the first stint on the medium tires and also lost ground to McLaren, too. All of this will point toward Verstappen being more aggressive because his team has been caught up to pretty quickly, and it would definitely cause even more drama behind closed doors. This is especially true considering how Horner has been treating Max's father and tried to stop him from being part of the Legends Parade in Austria, even though the British team boss said he had nothing to do with it because this is something that the racetrack itself organizes. Not many people would believe this. This is because both Max and his manager Marco talked about the childish situation that's happening at Red Bull right now. Either way, Mercedes has a lot of stuff to deal with right now, but one thing is for sure, they definitely have the right tools to make the car better to the point where Verstappen would believe that there's a future for him with the team based in Brackley. When you have the CEO of the team, Ola Kalinius, openly trying to get you to join them, like he said, Max would look good in silver, that's a statement that proves how much Mercedes wants Max on their team starting next year. Honestly, other than him and Fernando Alonso, there aren't any other drivers who would be able to fill the shoes that the 7-time world champion has left behind. A move that Hamilton might feel sorry about seeing where both of these teams are right now in the middle of season car development battle. Playful joke was made to Verstappen by Toto Wolff after the Silverstone race, and when talking about the chance of Max joining the team, the Austrian said that it's really important for them to build the perfect car. But he also added, "I don't think it changes our thinking. I've always said we need a car that goes fast, And when we have a car that goes fast, we put a driver in it and we get interest from many drivers. But in a way, I think we need to stay calm and continue the season. Max had a lot of time to look at our car from behind at Silverstone, so maybe he'll change his mind too. We'll see if the W15 will be a car that can convince Max. It's Max who wins the races and not Red Bull. Then again, it's pretty surprising that Mercedes has been able to unlock so much speed all of a sudden. But if you look at what Allison said, this wasn't supposed to be a surprise. It was actually a real completion of their plans. For example, a couple of months ago, the technical director of Mercedes said that we are going to see a car that would fight for podiums, maybe even race wins by the end of the summer break. And 2 races before the break actually came. Mercedes had won the Austrian and British races and also got a couple more podiums in Montreal and Barcelona. Not to mention that they've gotten 2 pole positions in Montreal and Silverstone, too. And while you could say that the win in Austria was a huge help from Verstappen and Norris crashing into each other, Russell was there to take advantage of the moment and made sure it never got away from him. In Silverstone, it was both front row spots with a car that worked perfectly well on all types of track surfaces, wet, dry, and in-between conditions. That's why, if it wasn't for Russell's car breaking down, Mercedes would have probably had 2 drivers on the podium or at least scored 18 more points. The progress is something that Wolff has been pretty happy to talk about in detail over the past couple of weeks. When talking about it, the Austrian said, "It clicked, and suddenly everything that didn't make sense made sense." The development direction or the results of the development direction are like back in the old days. We are finding performance, we are putting it on the car, and it turns into faster lap times. That wasn't the case for the last 2 years. There is more to come in terms of the performance we're bringing. We're bringing parts to Budapest and Spa, but on the other side, we must not get carried away. We had a win last week benefiting from the crash, but in Silverstone we had an honest win. We had the real pace. We had George and Lewis in the lead, and in almost all conditions we had the real pace. We were there. The massive boost is that the team has been able to fix the simulator problem that has been causing a lot of headaches for them over the past couple of months, especially because they couldn't find where they were losing performance or, more importantly, where they could unlock more speed. While the other teams were quick to point fingers at the illegal wing of Mercedes, this is something that has been strongly denied by Wolff. He said that everything that is considered legal by the governing body of the FIA should be treated as such, and no more talks should be started again just because they've been able to find a solid foundation to work on. Still, apart from Verstappen, we must not forget the fact that Mercedes does have a young, promising driver in F2 called Kimi Antonelli. And with things taking so long for Max to decide about his future, it's not a secret that Wolff has started the talks again for the 3-time race winner joining Mercedes, even though it might be just for 1 year. While Mercedes is willing to put Antonelli in as soon as possible, the words of the Austrian team principal were loud and clear. The seat is Verstappen's to lose, and if he chooses to not join Mercedes from 2025 onward, then we're going to see a different driver and different developments in the events. With all this in mind, do you think that Mercedes did enough to convince Verstappen that they can be a team to be scared of from 2025 onward? And more importantly, do you think that the 3-time world champion would be willing to leave Red Bull if he wins the 4th championship in 2024? Just like Vettel did back in the day in 2013? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And once you've done that, have a look at the video that's on your screen right now.